front of the gates going, so I don't know what to do now. Okay. And they're telling you, you can connect directly. You can. It's just a matter of developing the skill and understanding, oh, how do I open? But you can do all this. Okay, so that's why they're all like practically shoving each other. But there's this one woman who's coming forward, and she looks almost like the drawings of the Snow Queen from the fairy tales. You know, she's got white and baby blue with embroidery. It's like fur-lined jacket. So I don't know what it's made out of, like polar bear or something. And then, but
diva and sister.
She's like, no. No, she said she was a queen, but she said, but we're talking like a small, you know, like a city-state kind of, you know, in the middle of nowhere queen in the mountains. So she said she was a queen, but queens need to plow the fields along with their peasants. So it's, you know, but okay, so she looks Nordic, and okay, she just grabbed me by the ear and said, listen to me. So, let me take a moment. It hurts. Okay. Okay, so we have northern Germany in the mountains. And while she has a castle, it's a small castle. It's actually in her lifetime that she's building it up from a fortress to a castle. And we're looking at, okay, early 1200s. She has like platinum white hair, and she's tall and willowy, but strong. She has a broadsword that she can wield, and she says not any broadsword, a man's broadsword. She is strong. And she wears her hair most of the time in 2 braids down. Or sometimes she'll wear like a lot of braids hanging down. She's like, not like, you know, around the head, just hanging like 6 or 8 plates hanging with ribbons in them. But she always likes to keep the top of her head smooth and unadorned because, okay, she is also very psychic, and when she has like too much waves in her hair, it's almost like it creates antennas, and too much information comes in and it overwhelms her. And then she's never sure what's her judgment or what's a judgment that's coming into her. But she is also very empathic, which is why she is such a good ruler, because she can okay, I'm getting her name. It's like Evgenia, like Evgenia, Evgenia. I'm asking, is it Eugenia? And she's like, no. She's like, Evgenia, Evagenia. So she loves wearing white and sky blue because that's the color of the clouds, with like little gold embroidery, because that makes her feel fancy. But of course, most of the time, she says, most of the time she's showing her feet, and she's got like fur boots that are all like with thongs around, and she's in like it looks, you know, like just a homespun woolen dress with like the slits down the side with an underdress, because and you know, like a woolen cloak, because she has this very small kingdom. She has to help like herd the sheep and stuff like that. So I'm asking how all this came about, and she says there's too much war. All the men in her family died, and she said between war and pestilence, you know, and the men always think the women are too weak to do anything. But who do you think takes care of the men while they're dying? Who mends their wounds, you know, or amputates their legs? the women. Um, and she was, okay, so she's a little ornery and very determined. So she says, like you, she came from a large family, and her father went through 3 wives because of dying in childbirth kind of stuff. But she, while she had to learn all the girlish stuff, she preferred being with the boys doing their stuff. And she says, you know what she's talking about. And she is so glad that she did, because basically everyone in her family died one way or another, and she had to take over the throne. She said there were some out there that were not alive, but there was no one who would have been right for the throne. And she had to do a challenge to like all of her siblings, when it came like, oh, who's next? They're like, her. Like, she said she even had one older brother who's like, her, I abdicate, kind of. And she said, it's not like she's the fancy queen of England, they don't need to follow the protocol of parliament. They can just like work it out in the family and then, tell the people what's going on. But she had to accept the challenge of one of her cousins who was a bit of a sexist pig. And she beat him. And she said the challenge was in 3 levels. There was horseback riding, in which you had to, with a bow and arrow, shoot through a hoop hanging from a tree in the wind. She said it's not always windy, but that day it was windy. And she did that. And she got it through before he did, so she won that one. And then the second one was you took turns trying a case, and whichever one gave the resolution that like the lords of court and the monks and the like thought was better would win that one, and she won that one as well. And then the third one was sword fighting, and she said she stood there, she beat him. He had all this swagger because she's a girl, and she said she beat him, and she had the sword upraised and her left foot across his neck, and she was going to take it and stab him in the neck with it. And he just was looking at her saying, it's your right. And she said, will you swear fealty to me? And he said, yes, you are my queen, you are my king, you are my noble liege. And so she took it away, reached out her hand, helped him up. And he got down on his knee and bowed low to her. And then she was queen.
Sweet.
Yes. Yes.
Pretty light.
Yes. But okay, so she did marry, but she married a shepherd / warrior. So she but she said he was very handsome, and he made her laugh, and he brought her joy. And so they did have children, and it was her lineage that continued. So I was asking why she was showing herself in the fancy clothing, since obviously she spent more of her time in plain clothing. And she said, well, you have to know who I am. I demand respect. And I was like, okay, I get that. And she said also, sometimes she would have to go to, okay, I don't really know the German cities really well, but it's a major city in northern Germany. So I'm thinking like what would now be Berlin, somewhere there. she's indicating that that's right. But she said, go back, you know, almost 1,000 years. And so sometimes she would have to go to court to represent, and then she'd be in court for like weeks at a time. That there was some nobility who just like lived at court and rarely ever went back to their estate, their lands. And she's like, wouldn't that be nice to afford it? She said the amount of like counting through their coffers and everything to see how they, because you can't just go to court, you got to bring a gift, you have to like, you know, have nice outfits. Yeah. And she's like, it's a whole thing. And she enjoyed herself there. And she would leave her husband and children behind. So she said, that's always fun. But there is so much court intrigue and gossip and backbiting, and you have to be up on all the latest dances. And she said, luckily in that age, dances would change like over years. So, and so she said it was fun to get away. Everyone needs like a girls' weekend kind of thing, but at the same time, it was exhausting and expensive. And she was aware that her entertainment came hard from the labors of her people. At the same time, if she didn't go, then they'd have problems. So she said it was just part of the job. And that's something, okay, this is why she's here. She says she feels you have an imbalance between work and enjoyment that okay, I don't know anything about you, so it's just what's coming through. But she says you can get a little too serious and too work focused, and you forget that you don't need to work all the time. And when you do take time to socialize and have fun, it's okay to make a lot of friends. It's okay to just cut loose. It doesn't have to mean anything. Just if it's bringing you joy, then that will only help raise your vibration for the other stuff you're doing. Sometimes you kind of, she's like, no one else is pushing you down. You push yourself down by pushing yourself too hard. And she said you push yourself too hard because you're not following the flow of your energy. So if there's like a path that's really easy to travel, you'll end up like taking the side paths that go along it that are like really hard to get through. And everyone's like, and you're like, does that, okay. And so she is here to help you with this. This is part of your temperament that you chose to have when you came to life. So there's nothing wrong with you that you're this way, but it's one of your challenges. Just as we balance things, one of your challenges in this life is to learn to balance, you know, passion for work and silly enjoyment for life. And the people you meet with the work you do, no matter how well you get along, the friends are the ones you make elsewhere. Those people then like go home to their friends and family and leave you alone. And then you're like, oh wait, I was thinking we were all friends, but now I'm here alone. Your friends are the people you make that you are completely yourself with, that they don't care about what words come out of your mouth so long as they're true to your heart and they're there for you. And they call you and say, hey, let's go get a mani-pedi, even though that's not our thing. And hey, let's go to the movies. Let's go for a walk. Let's, you know, let's just get together and hang out. You need, she's saying, more of that with people that you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm relaxed. I'm me. I'm not worrying about anything. I'm fully accepted for myself. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes. Okay. So Evgenia is here for you for this purpose. And she says, but watch out, because you are so accepting of people for who they are that people take advantage of you, and people make you feel bad about yourself and being who you are. So learn to be yourself, but also learn to be yourself radiating out, like we were talking about before. And if they have a problem with that, you don't need to absorb their attitude. That's just like if a 5-year-old is having a tantrum, you don't get upset. You're like, oh, let them worry. That's eventually they'll take a nap, and or they'll calm down and I'll give them a little bit of toast with jam or whatever, that you don't need to worry about what other people think, because the more you are truly yourself, and certainly the picture of your throat chakra showed that the more those who value you for who you are will come forward. But if you have walls around yourself, then no one can see who you are. There is a, I forget what it's called. It's a form of heart-centered healing where